always said it was good to have a quote-unquote utility infielder on the roster. Do you see him kind of filling that role, being able to do a little bit here and there when needed?
Yeah, I think Lindy has played for some successful teams, which typically means they've either understood or embraced their roles or both. And that's something that we're looking for him to do, and he's done nothing but that so far in camp. So I think he'll be able to help us in a variety of ways.
I know you get asked about Wemby every day, so I apologize, but we all see the physical changes, the work that he's obviously done in the last few months. Just how is that translating just in terms of the progression, and how much more can you even ask of him on the court, given just the fact that he's still, in many ways, a growing kid?
Yeah, I think that sometimes is the difficulty when you have to temper the excitement, expectations, and imagination of where he can go, right? So I think all of us probably in some way we're still maturing or evolving physically at 19, 20, 21, especially if you're an athlete and the type of commitment it takes and what they're doing with their taking care of their body and trying to get stronger and et cetera. So I think that, along with his game, along with his mind, is going to continue to grow, and I think we've seen that. And I think that evolution sometimes can be not overwhelming, but it definitely stands out when somebody has that level of talent and potential at a young age. But the growth is fair, and I think it'll continue to go that way because of his approach and the things that you said.
Mitch, last game, the big pass a lot. And some of those passes, whether it's like advanced passes in transition or the wraparounds, they missed the target. Sometimes it was just off target. Sometimes the guys were cutting, didn't really expect it. What did you guys do in film review to kind of go over what types of passes he's trying to make and how his teammates can be aware of those passes?
You know, I'll just say it's the preseason, so there's a level of chemistry, continuity, connectivity that's just going to take time. I also think our guys are pretty excited to get on the court and play somebody else, and so I think you saw that at times where I almost didn't even get mad at some of the silly turnovers, because if that's the thing, we got bigger problems, and that's not stuff that we've been seeing in practice. So there's a level of when the lights come on and the fans get in the seats, the excitement sometimes can make everybody a little wound up. But I think obviously getting some reps on the court and seeing different coverages and different schemes and different players to play against, it'll take some time to make reads and play together.
Hey, Coach, back here. How you doing? In terms of your communication with Wemby, with the balance of him striking and finishing inside, which he does at such a high percentage, but averaging 9 threes a game, how do you communicate with him, hey, look, we need a bucket down low, or do you kind of let him read the game? How do you balance and strike that between being inside versus bouncing outside with a lot of three-point attempts during the course of the game?
Yeah, I think a little bit of all of it, right? I think I wish he could just go dunk it every time and the defense let him do that. I wish it was that easy. Victor's a really good shooter. He's obviously very impactful around the rim, and I think it's just a constant conversation with him and our team of, what is the game calling for at that time, and understanding, when you are a main player, you can influence winning a lot by dictating possessions and what he should do on that possession and what the game calls for. I think, again, that education goes with Tim's question regarding his physical traits as well. It's the mental side. And I think as you see some of these players that are sometimes compared to Victor, that's just a natural progression as they get from 19 to 20 to 21 into their more experienced years. And I would expect nothing less than him to continue in that area.
You obviously had CP with you last year, and I think there's still 7 or 8 guys in the league older than you. 3 guys in their 20th season or more for the first time ever. That's never happened in the league. Where do you see where do you see the biggest jump in the science? And that obviously you have to be physically gifted to be able to last that long, but the science and technology now, the recovery, it's changing every day. What's the biggest jump you've seen from maybe from when you played to now, and what guys are able to do just as far as extending their careers as long as they want?
I think what you said, right? Like it's the education and the exposure to what some of that science or recovery, activation, preparation, extension of a career can do. And then you're seeing some people probably commit to it at lengths that we've never seen before in terms of whether that's financial, whether that's time, sacrifice in whatever areas it may be. And people are pushing the limits on Father Time.
Every year, there's like a couple trends that a lot of teams are looking at. Like 2 years ago, cross matches in the post. Last year, lots of kind of random cutting. What do you see as the trends you think are going to start to kind of emerge around the league that you saw maybe little tidbits of last year?
You know, I think this is the time of the year where you see probably experimenting is maybe a strong word, but teams testing out or trying some of that stuff. And I think typically recent success dictates that. So the teams that were successful last year, there's probably some trends that they were doing that maybe people are following or aware of. And then I think you also have to figure out, obviously, what's your roster construction and personnel call for. Because obviously everybody wants to run around and shoot threes like Golden State has for a decade, but they don't have number 30. So it hasn't worked out for everybody. So I think there's a balance of that, you know, where the game's going in this positionless, you know, very, very creative way of some of the examples you gave. And then there's also some, you know, you got to be true to who you are and what you have.
Coach, back here, I'm screened out, but I know he's not playing tonight, but I'm curious about what were you guys attracted to when you drafted Dylan Harper, and how much have you seen of him in your preseason and your feel for him as he goes starting his rookie year?
Yeah, I think a lot of the same things that everybody saw, right? He was projected to be a top high pick early on. He's a great kid, comes from a great background, family, pedigree, played at one high school, played for one select program. That doesn't happen much these days. Just shows you kind of his commitment to where he was and who he was with. And then I think obviously, you know, the game and the skill set and the talent speaks for itself once you see him on the court. And we've seen plenty of him between the spring and the summer in camp, and obviously just want to get him right and get him as healthy as he can before he hits the court.
Coach, not only did you go out and draft a star defender in Carter Bryant this summer, but you guys also brought in Luke Cornett to bring in some more rim protection. And I know Wemby's already viewed as this top defensive guy, but just kind of as a team as a whole, how do you see that side of the ball changing, adding those two impact guys inside that floor?
Yeah, I think it's star defensive player is strong for Carter. I hope he becomes that.
You look good at summer league.
Yeah, it's a long way from there. But yeah. No, I think that's a part that we're trying to emphasize and be part of our identity. And we want people that are going to anchor to that side of the basketball. And the two people you named do that and will help us there. And we're asking and demanding the same of the people that have been here. Keldon Johnson needs to take on that same approach. Devin Vassell, you know, people, Jeremy Sohan, that have been here for years. And because the defense isn't, you know, individual. It's a team thing. It's a connectivity thing. So we can have, you know, whoever out there, if there's not five guys pushing the right or the same direction, it's going to fall at some point. So we're trying to establish that as a group.
Devin's in, anybody else?
Devin is in, and everyone else is trending, but not in.